Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming or Battlefield-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. Real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a YouTube message. So the first question for today comes in from Young Neon Gamer, who asked, Matimio, something I've always wanted in Battlefield 4 is different types of jet accessories from Battlefield 3. I hate that I always have to aim my rocket pods at a tank to hit them. What do you think of bombs being in the game? Difficult to master as in hard to hit, and you get to, if you get a direct hit on a tank, you take it out, and if you hit beside it, it only damages it. What are your thoughts on bombs? So in the past, DICE has had dumb bombs in the game. They had it in Battlefield 2, that was the main way, or I think really the only way, that they would take out tanks on the ground. That's how you would take out a lot of infantry as well. And I remember back then, they felt a little overpowered, and maybe that was just because they did too much damage, but man, when those things were doing strafes runs on Wake Island, they were decimating the enemy team. And I think that was due in part for a couple of reasons. I think the damage threshold may have been a little bit too high, but also back then, the clip range, the view range was a lot smaller. So if a jet was above you, but he was way up there, you wouldn't be able to see him. And that was just because of the limitations of the engine and PC gaming back then. And while clearly that is no longer a problem, since Battlefield 3, we can see things from across the map, it's amazing. If they did implement the dumb bombs, my one worry is that if they implement it exactly like how you describe it, where if you master it and you are able to line it up and it hits directly on top of a tank and one-shots them, while yes, only experienced players are going to be able to do that, and everyone else is going to kind of just get a bunch of hit markers. If you just give them more power, it's going to get a little ridiculous, because as of right now in Battlefield 3, one of the large complaints from the community is that jet pilots can make or break a game. If you just have a bunch of noobs up there, it doesn't really affect the game at all. But if you have one team that is just dominating the sky, it is a nightmare on the ground. They can take out infantry, they can take out tanks, and they have no counter. I mean, sure, you can try to launch a bunch of Stinger missiles at them, but they're just gonna fly away, their flares are gonna get back up, and they're not gonna have any problems with that. And so if you gave them another tool that even made them more effective against taking out ground units and taking out tanks, because they're already good at it, they're just gonna wreck even more. And so while I'm not opposed to them adding in more accessories and more ways to customize the jets, I think that's cool, they just need to walk a fine line. They need to make sure that the skill cap is high enough so that it's rewarding to master a particular vehicle, because that's part of why you play first-person shooters. If everyone did as well no matter what skill level they had, that would be really boring. So you want to reward skillful players, but you don't want to make it so that they're overpowered and so that they just destroy everyone on the map, because while it'll be really fun for those select people, everyone else's experience is going to be ruined. And so they need to walk a fine line trying to balance if they do add things here and there for the upcoming game. Now, the next question for today is more of a statement, and it comes in from Riffler24, who says, I'm more concerned about flashbangs. I personally think that adding them will seriously detract from the game. Now, I've noticed that a lot of you have been expressing some concerns about the flashbangs being added into Battlefield 4, and I don't think it's going to be as large of a problem as many of you are expecting. And the first reason why I think this is the case is that Battlefield maps are gigantic. They are a lot larger than other first-person shooters out there, and I think many of you are comparing it to Call of Duty, where you have flashbangs and stun grenades, and on those maps, because everything is much more constricted, if you just toss those kind of all over the place, you're gonna hit someone, and they're gonna be affected by it. But if you try to do that on a large map like Siege of Shanghai, it's not going to be effective at all. I mean, sure, you might get a hit marker here and there, but since the maps are just so much larger, just randomly spamming these all over the map isn't going to be an effective tactic, and you kind of have to think about it. You have to be smart about using your flash grenade. So that's the first reason. The second reason being is that the flash effect itself doesn't last very long. It only lasts like 2 to 3 seconds, and that's only when you're looking directly at it or kind of in its general direction. If you're looking off to the side and it goes off next to you, while it will kind of blur your screen a little bit, I think it has a small suppression effect. It's not going to really be a hindrance on you at all. And so if someone is able to throw a flash grenade directly in front of you, it goes off and you're blinded for 2 seconds, I honestly personally think that they kind of deserve the kill at that point. But what's cool about this and why I'm interested to see how it's implemented into the game is that it opens up more options for you to approach certain types of combat. Because if you're playing on a close quarter map, or someone's just in a nook and cranny on an objective, they've been camping there all day, but they're really deep where you can't get a grenade to bounce off the wall to take them out, and every single time you try to strafe on over to kill them because they're just staring at the doorway, they kill you. If you have a flash grenade at your disposal, just kind of toss that in there. It doesn't need to be directly on them like a grenade does. It flashes, now they're blind for 2 to 3 seconds, and that gives you plenty of time to go in and flush them out. And so I really like that idea because now it will give us a way at combating that. And you'll also have to remember that if you use the flashbang, I believe it gets rid of your normal grenade. I mean, you can use incendiary, like the normal grenade, and then flashbangs, and I'm sure they'll have maybe 1 or 2 more. And if you want the flashbang, you can't have those other options. So it's the combination of all those things why I think it won't be as large of an issue as you're kind of making it out to be. And I honestly believe it will be kind of a nice addition to the game. So the next question for today comes in from CHR0606, who asks, what do you think of the stationary emplacements in Battlefield 3, and how do you see them in Battlefield 4? Are they better / weaker, more common, or completely deleted from the game? So I recently did a challenge where I used the stationary tow missile turret to get kills with it, and while it was a lot of fun, I kind of came to the conclusion that the weapons themselves kind of felt like they were tacked on into the game. They don't hit very hard, they're very hard to use, and they're in really random locations, and I just never felt like I was in a prime spot where I could really take advantage of it and take out enemy armor. And so for Battlefield 4, what I would kind of like to see them do is to either just completely scrap the idea of having turrets in the game, or really flesh it out and make it kind of an integral part where it's important to be into these structures or into these turrets to take advantage of them, to take out not only infantry but to take out enemy vehicles as well. And so some examples that I came up with is that you could do what they had in Battlefield Bad Company 2, where you had those heavy machine guns with those metal plates in front of them, where you place that near an objective or you place that near like a long corridor, so that if the enemy team tries to push up onto you, they have to clear out that turret. And not only would that make the turret feel more viable, but it'd also switch up the role of the class structure a little bit as well, because now you need to rely on not only engineers to maybe fire a couple rockets at them, but also snipers could take them out as well. And so it would make those classes more effective, and you wouldn't just feel like playing as the assault is the best way to handle things. You could also do this with the tow missile turret, place that on maybe like the bridges of Siege of Shanghai, and so when a tank rolls by, you're in a prime location to try to take it out, and you actually feel useless, and it's in a location that's got a lot of traffic in it. And so that's kind of what I would like to see. I don't think that it necessarily needs to be in the game, but I think it would make some roles, the sniper and the engineer, a little bit more effective than what they currently are in Battlefield 3, and also just make those weapons feel a lot more satisfying as well. But that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, if you would like to submit your own question, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a YouTube message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.